Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Holtby 6 podcast. I am delighted today to have Randeep with me from Punjabi Villans. Randeep, how are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Aaron. Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Lovely to have you with us, mate. Really appreciate your time, and all the way from sunny Dubai.
Yeah, all the way from Dubai. But yeah, thanks for having us on. This is an amazing platform. So it's I had to jump on it straight away.
Yeah, no, lovely, love that, mate. Love that. Thanks for being here. So, so today, guys, what we're going to do is talk to Randeep about Punjabi Villans, speak about mental health in the context of Punjabi community, being a part of that culture. What is mental health like? What does it look like? Do we speak about it? What are the difficulties? What are the challenges that men particularly may face around mental health? And kind of Randeep's own story, own experiences. We'll go into a little bit about the football now and again, but we'll always be real, we'll always be raw, as you know, on the Holtby 6 podcast. It's nice and easy, just flow with the conversation and we'll see where it takes us. So come on then, mate, talk to us about Punjabi Villans. Give us a bit of background on the story. What's gone on? How's it all started?
So yeah, Punjabi Villans, we set up back in about 2011, 2010, I think it was. Basically, I'm one of the co-founders. There was 5 of us, but under the vision of our founder, Neet Chandel, who unfortunately passed away 10 years ago now. It was he who had the vision for Punjabi Villans, and it was just about bringing the community together because we saw other clubs do something similar, and we thought we're Villa, we must be bigger, and there must be more of us out there. And that's what it did. That's what it was about. We set up a WhatsApp group, reduced 5 of us. Then we knew some friends who knew some friends, and then knew some friends, and it just grew and grew from there. But the main thing about Punjabi Villans is that we're just a passionate collective of Villa fans. We all are, well, the majority of us are from Punjabi backgrounds. And for people who don't know what Punjabi background is, basically it's a land that's half in Pakistan, half in India, and basically we're a bunch of fans from this region called Punjab. So that's the reason why we're called Punjabi Villans. But originally, actually, what a lot of people don't know is we weren't actually meant to be called Punjabi Villans. We started off registering our name on the Villa Lions page as Villa Lions of Punjab. And then when we came to actually check on it and register, we're like, where are we? Where are we? We're just listed as Punjabi on the Villa website. So a quick rebranding exercise overnight, we became Punjabi Villans. But essentially, like I say, we're a passionate collective. And the main attribute to what we do is there's 2 things actually. One is charity, bringing the charity element to everything we do. It's a big part of our culture, so we wanted to bring that flavor as well to what we do. So serving the community, and then positivity. So there's a great Punjabi saying called Jaldi Kala, which means being high spirits and being positive, and that's what we're about. We're just bringing our Punjabi roots to football.
I love that, mate. I love that. Go through that saying again. What was that term you used then?
Jadi Kala. So you will see
Jadi Kala.
Jadi. So it's like with an R in there.
Okay, Jadi Kala.
Yeah, that almost there, but yeah, you got it. But,
very good.
Well, maybe we have to get a t-shirt sent out to you with that saying on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that, mate. I love that, and that's really true, isn't it? And I guess that can kind of reflect in anybody's circle of life, really. You know, staying positive and just doing the best you can with everything that you have, regardless of the challenges, I suppose, that life throws at us sometimes. You know, just trying to be a good person. I think we can all take a lesson out of that book for sure. Lovely, thank you, mate, for that. That goes a long way to explaining a lot of things, because you know we see a lot, and I'm not the only Villa fan on the platform that will see Punjabi Villans everywhere. You know, you're involved in everything, and you're a massive community, a massive following, and you know we have Arjan Raiki as well. You know, who yes. kind of stands by you guys from the same community, from that same background. So we have a lot of links to this within the Villa community. So if we go into kind of mental health specifically, then Randeep, where does mental health sit in that framework of Punjabi people? Is it a topic that we talk about? Is it a topic that is easy to talk about, or is it much harder? Where are we with it? And can that kind of be discussed freely between people in that community?
Kind of, but not really. Let's put it that way. I think for the younger generation, yes. People of my generation, the younger generation, because there's a lot more awareness of it. Those conversations can start to happen, but you know, men obviously still find it hard to speak about it. For the elder generation, it's still a taboo subject. There's still a lot of stigma to it. They're the ones who don't have the understanding of it. And even if you look at our language as well, there isn't really a word to describe someone being depressed or something. So, and for them to kind of understand it is what's very difficult, because there's the Punjabi people are the type that will see, say if you've got some kind of injury, they're going to be like, oh, you know what you should do for that? You should put this remedy on it. Just do this. And they're always, everybody's a doctor within the, especially with the elder generation. Everybody's like a doctor. They've got all some kinds of homemade remedies. But because mental health illness isn't something you can really see, it's a lot more difficult for some of them to really understand it, because again, there is that lack of understanding of it. And especially with the elder generation, there's been a great program recently on the BBC, BBC Two and BBC iPlayer called Back in Time for Birmingham, which really shows the struggles that the Asian community went through as they came to UK. And you just see these people with really hard work ethic, and then they're just being super strong, holding it down for everyone, because they left their families behind, came over to UK, worked really hard, worked in factories and doing jobs that nobody else wanted to do, really grinding out, and just having to be that mentally strong to hold it down, because you're feeding homes, you're feeding people back home, you're trying to set up a home in the UK as well. That endless grinding just meant that they couldn't ever be down. They're very, very proud people to the sense, like, they will never say sorry either. Like, everything's brushed on the carpet, that kind of stuff. So you got this hard work attitude, and then when you get obviously people are much younger going through mental illness and being a bit depressed, they just look at them and say, what you got to complain about? You've got it easy compared to what we had. So it is still a taboo subject. It is hard for them to get their head around.
Yeah, absolutely. Does the lack of education around it come from kind of those cultural values? And what I'm saying by that is, when we're talking about men specifically, we talk about that hard working ethic, that can't show your weakness. I'm guessing traditionally within the Punjabi community, the man would be the breadwinner. The man would be the one holding the family together. Is that typical, would you say, Randeep?
Yeah, that would, definitely typical back in the old generations and stuff like that. Now it's a lot more equal. But yeah, the men's always holding it down. Got to be strong, got to be the rock. And even the mother as well has to be the rock. She is the pillar at home. And as a community, we're very worried as well about what others would say. That's a big thing across all South Asian communities, not just Punjabis as well. Like, there is this real concern about what others think and what others will say, and a lot of that actually comes from village mentality. You got to remember, like, everybody knew everybody in the village, so if anything bad happened, everybody in the village knew about it. And you're then talk of the town. So a lot of that also makes it difficult for people to open up, because again, and even if we go back to those days as well, from what my understanding is as well, certain people wouldn't even mention that they've got any type of illness, forget mental illness, just any type of illness, because they might think to themselves, oh, we can't get arranged marriage because there's something going to be wrong with our genetics, and that might affect the future generations. So you've got a lot of lot of people closed in that elder generation, so it is very difficult.
It's definitely that older generation, that more archaic way of life then, that still kind of impacts modern day society for Punjabi people. I know you said that young people are finding it a little bit more simplistic to talk about mental health. There's a bit more awareness around it, so it's a little bit more mainstream. But I'm guessing if you live in a family of generations of all of those believing that it's not something that you talk about, you can do all you like at school or out with your mates, but when you get home, that's what you're succumbed to, isn't it? It's that
exactly.
Yeah. So how do you escape that? Have you got an experience of that yourself, or how do you escape being a young modern Punjab trying to take on the world and be very real about your mental well-being, and then going home to a family where your father, grandfather are very, no, we're not talking about this? How do you do it?
It is really tricky, and there isn't quite a formula yet. But there are some great initiatives out there, and I can also talk about my own personal experience as well. So, I mean, for the youngsters today, there's a great charity in the UK, especially for the Punjabi community, called Taraqi, and that means to like improve the state, improve the, whether that's mind state or yourself. Basically, they've done a partnership with Soho Tavern, and if people don't know what Soho Tavern is, it's one of the best mixed grill places in Birmingham. So youngsters can go, when they go, it's called a mixie and chill session, and so when they go to the pub, they can actually scan these QR codes which are on the menu, which actually then links you to Taraqi. And if they're dealing with any issues, whether that's substance abuse, depression, anything to do with LGBTQT plus, anything like that, they can go to these QR codes and scan away, and then find ways to find help. Fantastic. So it's a great little initiative, and that's also out there. And then just from a personal perspective as well, like when I was a youngster, when I was like in my early 20s, I was way too over ambitious for my own good, trying to take on the world. I had unrealistic goals. I set myself up, to pretty much fail. And I then went through my own little spell of depression or anxiety as well, because at the end of the day, I set myself up quite badly to fail because I was just unrealistic. Obviously, I couldn't talk to anybody about it at home because it was just something we didn't really do. So I actually used to go to counselling in private, and no one knew about it. So if anyone's watching this today, well, you just found out about it like 12, 15 years later. But just getting that help was really helpful for me, because it just helped me get my mind right. And it's just a shame at the time I didn't know what else to do, because again, there's no one really talks about it. So I just had to go to the doctor and say, I don't think something's right.
Yeah, and how did that make you feel? I mean, I just quickly on my kind of side of it, although I'm not from that community and from your community, I also had that kind of struggle when I was younger. So I've had my demons for years, and been in the darkest of places that I'd never wish upon anybody. And for me, it was a big thing, because although again my family aren't from the Punjabi community, they're still, my grandfather particularly comes from a generation whereby you just need to man up. You just need to grow a pair of balls and get on with it, stiffen up that upper lip kind of attitude. And so it's not really something that I spoke about at the earlier stages, because one, I didn't really know what I was dealing with or what mental health was myself, but I knew something was wrong. But also your role models in your life, my grandfather, they weren't the people that were receptive to helping me about what it was I was going through. So I can totally relate. So what sort of mental illnesses are the most common, do you think, within the Punjabi community for men and women? But if we're going to go with you and I being here, let's go down the men's route. So what are the most common? And I'm going to throw it out there, Randeep, because this is what this is all about. Having worked with the Muslim community a lot over the last 5-6 years, particularly in Birmingham, and I know there's similarities between them guys and yourselves. And suicide is a massive thing. And is that replica of something that goes on in the Punjabi community too?
Yeah, sometimes. But I would say the main thing we see in our community is substance abuse, especially alcohol. So a lot of alcoholics in our society, especially the elder generation, and also Taraqi, that little scheme I was telling you about that they set up, the number one thing they're finding research on is substance abuse, and mainly alcohol. Alcohol is a massive part of Punjabi community. It's nothing to do with religions within the region or anything like that. It's a big no-no. But if you listen to a lot of Bhangra music, so traditional folk Bhangra music, there is a lot of mention of alcohol in our music. And I'm not saying the music is the problem. It's obviously people misusing it is the problem. But there is a lot of mentions of that, and also in our films and things like this. So it's part of our culture, and just from generation to generation, lads get together. What we're going to do? We're not doing that. We're not going out and doing an activity. We're just going to go to get together, and we're going to have a few drinks. And and I think because people in the Punjabi community find it hard to open up and take ownership. There are a lot of people who get lost within substance abuse. And yeah, it's a shame, you know, because I have seen a lot of people go through it. I'm still yet to see someone come through the other side of it and come clean. I'm hoping that it comes easier over the generations that come. But yeah, I would say that is probably our biggest issue in our community.
Okay. So what we're talking about is alcohol and drugs and alcohol being a coping strategy then, Randeep, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's it.
As kind of a formula to escape things that might be going on in their life, things that might be troubling them. And I guess, again, culturally, if that's what you've seen your parents do, their parents do, and it's normal, then that's the thing you're going to relate to, because that's your learned behavior, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
Are there groups within the Punjabi community that want to break free from that? Are we seeing other forms of coping strategies going on, or is it always, and you think it will always be, the alcohol and the substance abuse?
It definitely won't, and as long as there's platforms like this, and you know, other great platforms out there, like I said, Turkey, they do some great stuff in terms of just having non-judgmental forums where people can come and just talk about whatever they're experiencing, whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
As long as there's these coping mechanisms, I mean, these other coping mechanisms of these different places where people can talk, or where people can learn. I am seeing more and more other Punjabi charities talking about mental health. There's so much more talk about it now than ever before. So I do think it's not always going to, alcohol's not always going to be a problem. It's the like I said, the younger generation, they're getting a lot more education on this particular subject, and I think they will find other ways, for sure.
Yeah, that's really good. So if we talk about football then for a moment, if we go to Villa, you know, the club we're all here about, are the club supportive of the work that you're doing? Are they encouraging of it? Do they enable you to keep promoting the good work that you're doing? Do you feel like there's a good relationship there in regards to community, Punjabi and Aston Villa?
100%. I mean, we've been part of Aston Villa's all-in initiatives for a couple of seasons now, where they've recorded us, what a match day experience is like with us. Their diversity officers are often in contact with us to talk about any particular cultural events that are coming on, so that they're aware, and then they can also then do their promotional tweets to say which people happy for Saki, Diwali, or Eid, and whatever the celebration could be. So there is a lot of inclusion. We are part of the FCG group as well, which is the fans consultation group. We were actually nominated by other fan groups to jump on board, so we're very grateful for that opportunity. And then that allows us to have those direct conversations with Villa, and particularly Christian Perslow, who gives updates on all kinds of things, and we can also then share our news on some of the things that we've been doing. And they're very supportive. You know, they're fully behind what we're doing there, and you know, we've always had a great relationship with them. Anything we can support, we try to support them as much as we can, and vice versa. We did a Diwali gig last year with them, which was great, and we raised funds for the Aston Villa Foundation. We had John Gregory come down and speak about his experiences in India, managing over there, and being Villa manager as well. It was a great night highlighting Asians in football as well, not just Villa players. And yeah, Villa were fully supportive of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is good. I think I'm trying to think how I first came across Punjabi Villans. It was quite some time ago now. I think it was through Nilesh, actually, at Villans Together.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm an ambassador for Villans Together. I've done some work with Nilesh over the years, and you know, quality diversity is a massive thing for me, and I think that's probably where I found out about you guys. So, and I know that you've worked with them on various different levels.
Yeah.
Because both of you talk so highly about Arjan and kind of Neil Taylor and all of that Indian influence, etc., that Asian influence into football. Are things getting better, Randeep, in terms of Asian presence in football, in Premier League football? Are things getting better? Is there more work to be done? And are you happy with where we're at, you know?
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot more work to be done. But, you know, if I've got to look at the positives right now, if you look at players like Neil Taylor, Arjan Raiki, you've got people like Danny Bath, Mel Benning, you know, Yan Danda, Zidane Iqbal, Hamza Chowdhury. There is more Asian players in professional football now than there's ever been. Yeah. But is there enough? That I've just quoted a handful there. And if you look at the population of the UK, there's way more work to be done. So there's it. It's on the forefront of everybody's mind. The FA kick it out. The fact that we've got people like Dev Trehan, who's a Sky Sports News reporter, who just predominantly covers South Asian football, and he does a lot of great work of what's happening in the community. In fact, we've got dedicated reporters about it now as well. It just is a great achievement as well. If you even look at the Villa bench, you see the doctors and you see some of the physios and some of our scouts as well. They're of Asian backgrounds as well. So there is a lot more happening, and it's great to see. But there's a hell of a lot more work to do. It needs more action, less talk, and just trying to do what they can to support grassroots level football for Asians, making that more inclusive, because a lot of Asians still generally tend to play together in Asian tournaments, simply because all the racism that happens down in the lower leagues and at grassroots levels. So a lot more needs to be done, but it's moving in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, no, it's really good to hear. It was really good to hear. So if someone wasn't already a part of Punjabi Villans per se, wanted to be involved, wanted to get involved in the community, what they got to do, Randeep? How do they get in touch with you? Can they meet you at a certain time in a certain place on a match day? What's the crack, mate?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we're in the Calthorpe Arms for 4 games. That's our HQ. Again, you can catch any of the lads there, more than accommodating. To be part of Punjabi Villans, all you got to do is just be willing to support Villa and like I say, do the Punjabi way. That's basically being positive and, just enjoying a mixed grill with us. If you do drink. If you don't, just have a J2O and a water. That's perfectly fine with us. So, yeah, I mean, it's just about just having a good time and, celebrating all good things Villa.
Yeah, no, I love that, mate. So if you could give the general Villa fan 3 top tips on keeping their well-being good, perhaps using some of your Punjabi love and passion, what 3 tips could you give a member of the public to stay well, to stay well in this community?
Stay well. I honestly believe one of the best things you can do is actually give back. And charity work is so rewarding. You are dedicating your own time to try and help others. And there's plenty of opportunities, and people think, I've got to do these excursions to Africa and or whatnot to kind of be doing charity work. No, you can just cut the neighbour's grass or take their dog out for a walk or something like that. Like, doing charity work, it doesn't mean you've got to be fundraising. It could be very simple actions like that. So I always think helping the community and giving back is a great way of not only rewarding yourself but also helping others as well. Yeah. The other thing is working out. I definitely am a big advocate of that now. I didn't used to be so before, but yeah, definitely working out. And whether that's people think working out is you're either running on a cardio machine or you're pumping weights. It could be just simple mobility stuff like just moving your body. Definitely great for the mindset. And thirdly, just open up. If you are experiencing any kind of doubts within or anxiety, whatever it is, speak out about it. I know it's difficult to do for men in particular, and it's a sense of putting your own vulnerabilities out there, but you'd be amazed how many people have been through something. And I think what was the latest stat? Was it, you probably know this better than I do, but was it 1 in 4 adults go through some kind of mental struggle at some point in their life? Yeah. So people can relate, people can give you advice, point you in the right direction. Look, I just think if anybody is asking for advice and opening up, don't always expect the other person to solve your problems. That's never always going to be the case. But, they can certainly point you in the right directions or just be a pair of ears.
Yeah, love it. I love all those, mate. So we're talking movement, we're talking giving back in a charitable community way, and we're talking that last one. Beautiful. I love them, mate, and I definitely would stand by them myself, particularly the middle one for working out. It's the gym has been my kind of therapy, my escapism for 15 years, and I don't know where I'd be mentally without the gym and exercise, to be fair. So definitely I agree with you there, mate, for sure. So okay, just to finish off then, let's go to favourite Villa player, Randeep, from however long back, however recent, favourite Villa player. And the reason I'm asking you that question is because I want to know what about them inspires you and why they are your favourite player. What traits did they have that kind of have helped you become the man that you are today, doing all the amazing stuff that you're doing?
It's a tough question. It's probably a bit of a controversial one as well, because I'm going to go with Gabby Abonlahor, because everybody's going to say, what? He's got like a lazy work ethic.
I'll just turn it off now, Randy. I'm turning it off now.
No, should I tell you what it is? Okay, so Gabby, on his day, and a lot of things I can relate to as well. On his day, Gabby is unstoppable. Like, if you look at him in derbies and things like that, what's his goal record? Is it 1 in 2, 1 in 3? But his actual normal goal scoring record's like 1 in 12. And it just shows the power of the mindset. If you are motivated and it means something to you, what you can go and achieve.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just always that passion that he had. He was a local lad. His pace, used to love that as well. He was just an exciting player when he turned up, that is. And so, yeah, for me, that's why I can relate a bit more to Gabby than probably some of the others. I used to be a massive Southgate fan as well back in the day, because I just thought he was that calm, cool leader.
Yeah.
So I do like that as about Southgate as well. But yeah, I would have to say Gabby's.
I'll take that, mate. I'll take that. I appreciate that, and I see that. Regardless of people's views on Gabby, he is one of our outstanding strikers that we've had at the club, and there's no getting around that. His records speak for themselves. Yes, okay, the latter few years of his career at Villa may have been a little bit branded with a tarnished brush, but he certainly did things for us. And under Martin O'Neill, that kind of era at Villa, he was one of the top strikers in England, probably Europe at the time. Everybody wanted a piece of Gabby, and like you say, the quickest man I've ever seen running on a football field when he was in his prime. So I definitely hear that, mate. Just on Gabby, you've just made me think about something, and I didn't want to finish off until I'd mentioned it. So we've obviously got Villa and we've got Birmingham City. Is there a link and a relationship between any Punjabi Villans and Punjabi Birmingham fans? Is there a group, a community? Is there an alliance anywhere?
There is. The group called Blues for All, and again, another all-inclusive group. There is an alliance there. Not only just with them, there's another one called Upna Albion, which means our Albion as well. Then you got Punjabi Wolves as well. Again, spoke to those guys. Punjabi Rams, who are the Derby guys. So there is a collective, and together there's also then a separate group called Upna England, which means our England. And again, that's you got members from all these groups who then create like a super collective to go and support England, and they go to the England games together. So yeah, there is that support. We have been working with all these groups. We've done recent football tournaments for charity with them. The Punjabi Spurs, who are obviously the Tottenham Hotspurs fans. We've hosted many events with them in terms of hosting each other before match days and doing charitable events with them. We've done a walk from their ground down to Villa Park before with them. We've done a 24-hour darts marathon with them. To raise charity for eye care, and we've also done a stem cell donation as well before match day. Everybody was doing stem cell donations, both sets of fans, and I think we had 2 donors actually off the back of that as well. So yeah, we were always working with all these other Punjabi groups as well. And again, a massive part of their ethos is the charity work as well, because it's such a massive part of our culture.
Yeah. That's great, and I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but actually football is secondary, isn't it, when you come together like that? Because it's the power that each community has and can bring together to create that one big community, like you say, that super community of Punjabs enjoying football, appreciating each other, loving and enjoying life. And I think that's really special. It's really special, and it's lovely to hear that you have that kind of relationship, because in other domains there maybe isn't that, and there is football first and rivalry comes first, but actually football is secondary. And like with most things, I guess, particularly around mental health, is I don't care what football club you support. I don't care where you're from. I don't care your background, your race, your religion. If you are struggling, then I'm here to help you. And I think that's a lovely message that kind of emulated within the Punjabi community. So big hand to that. I love that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean that's essentially what it's about. It's about charity first, then comes our rivalries. Don't worry, we'll go back to hate each other after the event. But but a lot of these groups, you know, we've actually grown up with. We're from the same neighborhoods and stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the love, the community feel is always there first.
It's lovely. It's really, really good. Listen, Randy, I really appreciate you coming on, mate, and I really appreciate your time and your input, because it's been hugely valuable. And I think not just for me, but for everybody that will watch this, I guess they'll be able to take a few things away from it and have learned a few things. And I guess what these podcasts are designed to do is just kind of give each platform an opportunity to talk about themselves and how mental health looks in their lives. And I think it's been quite clear from today that there's still some work to do within the Punjabi
Yeah,
community,
100%.
you know, as there is in many other communities. But, you know, 15 years ago, we are a lot further along than we were then. You know, I've worked in this field for a long, long time, and we've still got a lot of work to do, but we are moving slowly towards that goal. You know, we're a long way from it, but the light is brighter now than it was 10, 15 years ago. So keep doing the amazing work you're doing, Randeep. I've got a lot of love for you guys and everything that you're doing. So keep in touch and up the Villa.
Thank you, and up the Villa, and also keep up the great work. I think platforms like this are so important, and the fact that this is a podcast form and people can go back and listen to it at any time is going to hopefully help hundreds and thousands. So keep up the good work, mate, and thanks for having us on.
Cheers, Randy. Appreciate your time.
Take care.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye bye. Bye bye.